Sumiklab ang malaking apoy sa labas ng Olympic Sports Center sa China.
Ating alamin ang pinagmula ng sunog mula sa mga detalye ng balitang ibabahagi maya-maya. Magandang gabi. Ako po si Ricky Matay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alagaw Flores. Ito ang mata ng Agila International. Para naman sa mga headlines ngayong araw ng Biyernes.
Gobyerno ng Pilipinas nakahanda sa worst-case scenario sa pagputok ng bulkang Kanlaon.
Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. nangakong gagawing world-class ang Armed Forces of the Philippines.
Ating alamin ang pinaniniwalaang dahilan ng pagbagsak ng Al-Assad regime sa Syria.
Astrobot wagi bilang Game of the Year ngayong 2024.
And U.S. President-elect Donald Trump itinilagang Time Magazine Person of the Year. Siniguro ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. na handa ang gobyerno sa agarang pagtugon para sa posibleng worst-case scenario kasunod ng pagsabog ng bulkang Kanlaon.
Sinabi rin ng Pangulo na nakalatag na ang mga gagawin ng NDRRMC at Office of the Civil Defense para tumugon sa maaaring paglalapan ng sitwasyon.
Sa mga kababayan natin na apektado ng pagputok ng Kanlaon, nandito po ang inyong pamahalaan na handang tumulong sa inyo. Kung gaano man katindi ang bangis ng bulkang ito, ganon din ang kalinga na aming ipapaabot.
Ayon sa Pangulo, gagawin ang pamahalaan ng lahat para agad na matugunan ang mga pangangailangan ng mga apektadong residente, gayon din ay maagapan ang pinsala dulot ng pagsabog. Pinakilos na rin ng Pangulo ang mga resource ng gobyerno para tulungan ang mga Pilipinong apektado ng pagsabog ng bulkang Kanlaon. Sa kasalukuyan, nakatutok ang Task Force Kanlaon sa nagiging pag-usad ng sitwasyon sa Kanlaon.
Tiniyak rin ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. na prioridad ng kanyang administrasyon na gawing world-class ang Armed Forces of the Philippines o AFP. Sa kanyang talumpati sa graduation ceremony para sa mga bagong sundalo ng AFP, sinabi ng Pangulong gagawing makabago ng gobyerno ang mga gamit ng AFP. Nangako rin ang Pangulong pahuhusayin ng kanyang administrasyon ang mga programa sa pagsasanay ng mga sundalo.
Be assured that this administration remains committed to transforming our AFP into a world-class force that is a source of national pride and national security. We will modernize your equipment, enhance your training programs, ensure that you are equipped to face challenges not just of today, but also of the future.
Mahigit 600 estudyante ang ganap ng mga opisyal ng AFP. Pinakamarami sa mga ito ang napabilang sa Philippine Army na sinundan ng Air Force at ng Philippine Navy. Hinikayat din ni Pangulo Marcos ang mga bagong opisyal ng AFP na ipagpatuloy na mga ito ang kanilang tungkulin na ipagtanggol ang Pilipinas sa harap ng mga pagbabanta at makabagong digmaan.
Let this be your guiding principle as you step forward. In the face of evolving threats and modern warfare, innovation, technical expertise, and leadership rooted in service will be your most powerful weapons.
Sa kabila ng tahasang pang-aangkin ng China, muling nanindigan ang Pilipinas sa harap ng United Nations na ang Baho de Masinloc ay bahagi ng teritoryo ng bansa. Sinabi ni Ambassador Antonio Lagdameo na nagsisilbing pundasyon ng lehitimong pag-aangkin ng Pilipinas sa Baho de Masinloc ang 1982 United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea o UNCLOS at ang 2016 Arbitral Award on the South China Sea. Binigyan diin ni Lagdameo sa United Nations na nagpatupad ang Pilipinas ng dalawang bagong batas, ang Philippine Maritime Zones Act at ang Philippine Archipelagic Sea Lanes Act. Anya, sa pamamagitan ng dalawang bagong batas na ito, ay pinatitibay ng Pilipinas ang mga pambansang batas nito alinsunod sa UNCLOS. Kinastigo rin ni Lagdameo ang pagsusumite ng China ng sarili nitong mapa ng territorial baseline sa UN at sinabi niyang labag ito sa UNCLOS at sa international law. Gayunpaman, binanggit din ng UN Ambassador na nananatiling tapat ng Pilipinas sa paggamit ng mapayapang paraan upang lutasin ang mga di pagkakaunawaan sa West Philippine Sea.
Kumpiyansa naman si Vice President Sara Duterte sa legal process ng impeachment. Ayon sa bise, ang impeachment ay isang lugar kung saan maayos niya masasagot ang mga akusasyong binabato laban sa kanya. Paliwanag ni VP Sara, mayroong rules ang impeachment na sinusundan kaya malalatag niya na maayos ang kanyang mga sagot. Subalit, tinawag niyang isang inconvenience ang impeachment complaint na kanyang haharapin dahil may kailangang i-hire na mga lawyers at support staff. Kailangan din anya na bayaran ang professional fees na mga ito. Ayon sa bise, wala pa siyang natatanggap na opisyal na kopya ng articles of impeachment, subalit nakastandby na ang kanyang mga abogado. Tumanggi rin muna si VP Sara na pangalanan ang kanyang legal team dahil niya malalaman din naman kung sino ang mga ito sa mga susunod na araw.
Ibinasura na ng House Quad Committee ang contempt orders laban kina dismiss Bamban Mayor Alice Go, Cassandra Ong at Chinese businessman Tony Yang at iba pang testigo sa investigasyon nito ng illegal na POGO operations sa Pilipinas. Isinulong ni Abang Lingkod Party List Representative Joseph Stephen Paduano ang motion bago matapos ang ika-13 ng pandinig ng mga panel sa issue. Matapos suportahan ng iba pang miyembro ng panel ay inaprubahan ng Quadcom sa pangunguna ni Surigao del Norte Representative Robert Ace Barbers ang motion matapos matanggap ang impormasyon sa kondisyon ng kalusugan ni Ong. Ayon kay Barbers, wala na silang nakikitang dahilan para i-detain pa si Ong kaya't nilagdaan niya ang utos sa CIW na pakawalan si Ong ngayon ding Biyernes. Itataas ang salary grade ng government psychologists para sa promosyon ng epektibong mental health programs para sa mga public servants. Batay sa Budget Circular 2024-5 na inilabas ng DBM Secretary Pangandaman, ang salary grade ng Psychologist 1 ay itataas mula sa SG11 papunta sa SG16. Ang Psychologist 2 naman ay itataas mula sa SG15 patungong SG18 at ang Psychologist 3 na SG18 ay itataas sa SG20. Magiging epektibo ang adjustments mula January 1, 2025.
Asahan po muli ang dagdag bawas sa mga produktong petrolyo sa susunod na linggo. Batay sa forecast ng Department of Energy Oil Industry Management Bureau, posibleng tumaas ng 15 hanggang 45 sentimos ang presyo ng kada litro ng gasolina, habang 10 hanggang 40 sentimos naman ang posibleng dagdag sa presyo ng kada litro ng diesel. 20 hanggang 30 sentimos naman ang maaaring maging bawas sa presyo kada litro ng kerosene o gaas. Susunod, Syrian rebel leader nangakong isasara na ang Sednaya prison.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken nasa Turkiye upang pag-usapan ang sitwasyon sa Syria.
At Donald Trump na isalayo ang Estados Unidos sa issue ng Syrian government. Mga detalye ng mga balita niyan at iba pa sa pagbabalik na mata ng Agila International.
The evolving business communication landscape brought us a better way to target customers. Thanks to data, businesses can now efficiently reach their key stakeholders, create awareness of their brands, and grow loyalty. Speaking to us about the exciting world of ad tech and its whole ecosystem, Mr. Nico Acosta, President and Group CEO of Brave Connective Holdings.
A family can now do everything at home, and now they can grow both personal and professional, plus earn more because of the digital economy.
Open for business with Cesar Vallejos, Sunday, 9 p.m.
Sa NET25.
Hey guys, please continue to watch Art Academy only on NET25.
Let's net together. Sa NET25. Sa NET25.
Are you ready to take your passion for pets to the next level? Whether you're a first-time pet owner or a seasoned pro, Possibilities is the ultimate guide to creating a happy, healthy, and responsible environment for your furry friends, especially if you're considering showing them. Tune in and unlock the possibilities of responsible pet ownership this weekend. Dito lang sa Ito Ang Tahanan tuwing Sabado at Linggo, alas 8 hanggang alas 9 sa NET25.
Let's net together. Sa NET25. Sa NET25.
Sa kabila ng mga ebidensyang nagsasabing dumating na sa Russia noon pang Disyembre 8, si deposed Syrian President Bashar al-Assad matapos nitong tumakas kasama ang pamilya nito mula sa pag-atake ng mga rebelde sa Damascus nitong Martes lamang kinumpirma ni Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov ang pagdating nito sa kanilang bansa. Bunsod ng pagtakas ni al-Assad ay nagdiwang naman ang rebeldeng grupong Hayat Tahrir al-Sham o HTS na pinangunahan ni Abu Muhammad al-Jolani dahil natapos na ang 13 taong digmaang sibil sa Syria na nagsimula taong 2011 pa. Sa loob lamang ng 12 araw ay napabagsak ang gobyerno ni al-Assad na minarkahan din ang pagtatapos ng ilang dekadang pamumuno sa ilalim ng iisang pamilya lamang. Mahigit 50 taong naghari ang al-Assad family sa Syria. Nagsimula ito nang iniluklok bilang Pangulo ng bansa si Hafez al-Assad taong 1971 matapos niyang pangunahan ng isang coup noong 1970 na matagumpay na napatalsik ang nooy de facto leader ng bansa na si Salah Jadid. Pero bakit nga ba maraming Syrians ang may galit sa al-Assad family? Ayon sa mga political analysts at mga historiador, ilan sa mga dahilan na galit ang marami sa pamilya al-Assad ay dahil sa authoritarian rule nito. Marami sa mga Syrians ang nakikita na brutal ang administrasyon ni al-Assad mula nang pumutok ang isang pag-aaklas noong taong 2011. Marami ring mga kritiko ng pamahalaan ni al-Assad ang nagsasabing makapagpapatunay sa umano'y human rights violations nito. May mga ulat ng pagsasagawa ng torture, paggamit ng chemical weapons at extrajudicial killings ang gobyerno ni al-Assad. Nakaapekto rin sa imahe ni al-Assad ang kinakaharap na dagok sa ekonomiya ng Syria kung saan marami sa mga mamamayan doon ay walang hanap buhay na nagdulot naman ng malawakang suliranin ng kahirapan sa bansa. May ibang political analysts naman na nagsasabing kaya natalo ang Assad regime kontra sa mga rebelde ay dahil wala ng kapasidad ang Russia at Iran para tulungang ipagtanggol ang Damascus mula sa mga rebeldeng pag-atake. Anila, tali ang kamay ng Russia sa pakikipagdigma nito sa Ukraine habang ang Iran naman ay nakatuon sa pagtulong sa Lebanon kontra Israel. Ngayon naman ay ating isa-isahin ang naging hakbang ng mga rebelde para pabagsakin ang al-Assad regime. Nobyembre 27 nang maglunsad ng major offensive kontra sa pro-government forces ang grupo kung saan ang unang pag-atake ay ginawa sa Aleppo. Nag-launch naman ng airstrike ang Russia bilang tugon sa pagtulong sa Syria pero hindi natinag ang mga rebelde. Matapos masakop ang Aleppo ay kasunod namang inatake ang mga lungsod ng Hama, Homs at ang Deraa na lugar kung saan nagsimula ang 2011 uprising. Desyembre 8 nang idineklara ng mga rebelde na malaya na ang Damascus. Maraming mga bilanggo sa Sednaya Prison ang pinakawalan at nagdiwang sa matagal ng inaasam na paglaya ng Syria mula sa kapangyarihan ng Al-Assad regime.
هذا مصر يا اخواني تاريخ جديد للامه الاسلاميه باكملها. هذا مصر يا اخواني تاريخ جديد للمنطقه. كم تلافينا من مخاطر. ترك سوريا تركها مزرعه للاطماع الايرانيه. نشر فيها الطائفيه. اثار فيها الفساد.
At nitong Miyerkules ay hinirang ng mga rebelde bilang leader ng transitional government ng Syria, si Mohammed al-Bashir. Si al-Bashir ang magsisilbing bagong prime minister ng bansa habang unti-unti itong bumabangon at bumabalik sa normal. Pangungunahan ni al-Bashir ang transitory government ng Syria hanggang March 1, 2025. Bagaman napabagsak ng HTS ang Al-Assad regime, ay itinuturing pa rin ito bilang isang terrorist group ng Estados Unidos, Turkiye at iba pang mga bansa. Sa kasalukuyan, patuloy pa rin ang pagbangon ng Syria sa gitna ng girian sa pagitan ng dalawang puwersa, gayon din sa iniwang pinsala na airstrike ng Russia sa bansa. Sa katunayan ay hinimok na ni al-Bashir ang mga Syrian refugees na bumalik na sa Damascus dahil giit niya, mahalagang makabalik sa Syria ang mga residente nito para muling makabangon ang kanilang bansa mula sa malalim na pagkalugmok sa ilalim ng pamumuno ni Bashar al-Assad. Sa muling pagbangon ng Syria ay nanawagan ng international community na itigil na ang ganitong uri ng hidwaan, lalo na ang maiwasan pa sana ang paglala ng tensyon sa gitnang silangan. Umaasa ang United Nations na matuldukan na rin ang iba't ibang uri ng karahasan sa rehiyon dahil anila marami pang mga pandaigdigang suliranin na dapat kaharapin higit sa digmaan. Tulad ng kagutuman, kahirapan at kawalan ng maayos at ligtas na tirahan.
Sa iba pa mga balita, nag-alok ng $5 milyong na pabuya ang Estados Unidos sa sinumang makapagbibigay ng impormasyon ukol sa umano'y work scheme na ginagawa ng mga North Koreans. Ayon sa US Intel, nagtatrabaho ang mga North Koreans sa mga kumpanya sa Estados Unidos. Pagkatapos ay ninanakaw umano ng mga ito ang trade secrets ng US upang ipagbili. Ang mga kinikita sa trade secrets for ransom ay pinapadala sa North Korea upang pondohan ng Pyongyang ang weapon programs nito. Anila, $88 milyong ang ginastos ng North Korea para gumawa ng weapons of mass destruction. Hindi naman nagbigay ng komento ang North Korea mission to the United Nations sa New York ukol sa nasabing issue.
Binabalaan ng hepe ng NATO ang Transatlantic Alliance laban sa lakas ng Russia kung kaya't kailangan niya ang karagdagang pondo para sa depensa. Si Anna Cui para sa report.
Noong Huwebes, winarningan ni NATO Chief Mark Rutte ang US-led Transatlantic Alliance na hindi ito handa sa mga banta ng Russia sa mga darating na taon. Nanawagan ito ng maniobra pagdating sa pag-iisip ukol sa panahon ng gyera. Kabilang dito ang mas malalim na pondo para sa gastusin sa depensa laban sa Moscow.
We are not ready for what is coming our way in 4 to 5 years. Danger is moving towards us at full speed. We must not look the other way. We must face it. What is happening in Ukraine could happen here too. And regardless of the outcome of this war, we will not be safe in the future unless we are prepared to deal with danger. We can do that. We can prevent the next big war on NATO territory and preserve our way of life. This requires us all to be faster and fiercer. It is time to shift to a wartime mindset and turbocharge our defense production and defense spending.
Inilahad ni Ruta ang lakas na meron ng Russia laban sa alyansa. Anya, malayo ang tanaw ng Russia pagdating sa labanan.
Russia's economy is on a war footing. In 2025, the total military spending will be 7 to 8% of GDP, if not more. That's a third of Russia's state budget and the highest level since the Cold War. And Russia's defense industry is producing huge numbers of tanks, armored vehicles and ammunition. What Russia lacks in quality, it makes up for in quantity, with the help of China, Iran and North Korea. This all points in one clear direction. Russia is preparing for long-term confrontation with Ukraine and with us.
Samantala, nagbabala rin si Ruta ukol sa pinag-iigting na lakas nuklear ng China. Anya, ang panunuso ng China ay maaaring lumumpo sa ating lipunan.
We need to be clear-eyed about China's ambitions. China is substantially building up its forces, including its nuclear weapons, with no transparency and no limitations. From 200 warheads in 2020, China is expected to have more than 1,000 nuclear weapons by 2030. Its space launch investments are skyrocketing. China is bullying Taiwan and pursuing access to our critical infrastructures in ways that could cripple our societies.
Anakwi para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Noong Huwebes, isang buwan bago lisanin ni Pangulong Joe Biden ang pwesto, nag-anunsyo ang administrasyon nito ng panibagong weapons package para sa Ukraine. JC Yumul po para sa balita.
Inanunsyo ni White House spokesperson John Kirby noong Huwebes ang pinakabagong tulong militar ng Estados Unidos para sa Ukraine. Walang halagang binanggit si Kirby, ngunit binigyang diin nito na hanggang sa huling sandali ng Biden administration, tutulong ito sa Kiev.
That also today the President approved a new security assistance package for Ukraine that will provide them with additional air defense, artillery, drones, and armored vehicles. It's the 72nd such drawdown package announced by the United States, and as the President made clear, we're going to continue to provide additional packages right up to the end of this administration.
Noong Nobyembre, pinawalang bisa ni Pangulong Biden ang USBA sa Ukraine sa paggamit nito ng US-supplied long-range missiles para sa pag-atake nito sa Russia. Ito ang pinakahuling subok ng papaalis na Pangulo upang suporta ng Kiev sa laban nito sa Russia. JC Yumol para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Noong Huwebes ay nagpahayag ng pagkabahala ang hepe ng United Nations kaugnay ng pag-atake ng Israel sa Syria nitong mga nakaraang araw. Sinabi ni UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres na matindi ang kanyang pagkabahala sa matinding paglabag sa soberanya at integridad sa teritoryo ng Syria kamakailan. Ayon sa tagapagsalita ng UN na si Stefan Dujarric, partikular ang pagkabahala ni Guterres sa daan-daang pag-atake ng Israel sa ilang lokasyon sa Syria. Binigyan din ito ang pagnanais ni Guterres na pakalmahin ang karahasan sa lahat ng fronta sa buong bansa.
The Secretary General is deeply concerned by the recent and extensive violations of Syria's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The Secretary General is particularly concerned over the hundreds of Israeli airstrikes on several locations in Syria, stressing the urgent need to de-escalate violence on all fronts throughout the country.
Dagdag rito, ani ni Dujarric, binibigyan diin ng Secretary General ang kasunduan na namamalagi. Kinundinan nito ang lahat ng pagkilos na lalabag sa kasunduan.
The Secretary General stresses that the 1974 Disengagement of Forces Agreement remains in force, condemning all actions that would be inconsistent with the agreement, and calls on the parties to the agreement to uphold their obligations under this instrument, including by ending all unauthorized presence in the area of separation and refraining from any action that would undermine the ceasefire and stability in the Golan. In this period of rapid change, the Secretary General underscores that while maintaining public order, it is imperative to support credible, orderly, and inclusive transitional arrangements in Syria.
Nangako naman si Syrian rebel leader Abu Mohammed al-Jolani na ipasasara niya ang notorious na bilangguang pinatakbo ng pinatalsik na presidente na si Bashar al-Assad at tutugisin pa ang mga sangkot sa pagpatay o pagtorture sa mga bilanggo. Anya, kanyang bubuwagin ang security forces ng dating rehimen. Sa kumalat na video matapos mag-collapse ang Assad government noong linggo, makikita po ang pagpapakawala ng libo-libong mga preso mula sa Sednaya prison na tinawag na human slaughterhouse ng human rights groups. Nasa halos 60,000 katao ang tinorture at pinatay sa mga piitan na pinatakbo ni Assad. Ayon po yan sa UK-based monitoring group na Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. Sa hiwalay naman na pahayag, sinabi ni Jolani na ang pardon para sa mga nakibahagi sa pagtorture o pagpatay sa mga preso ay out of the question. Anya, kanilang tutugisin ang mga ito sa Syria at hihilingin din sa mga bansa na i-turn over ang mga tumakas para makamit ang hustisya.
Ayon sa Estados Unidos, hindi ito magmamadaling buksan ang embahada nila sa Syria dahil tinatansya pa nila ang magiging galaw ng rebelding grupo na HTS sa mga susunod na buwan.
Hayat Tahrir al-Sham is using the right words, but we will of course judge them not by those words, but by their actions over the coming days, the coming weeks, the coming months. We recognize Syria as a state. We have not recognized the HTS as the governing authority in Syria. We have not recognized them as the government of Syria.
Ayon kay U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller, hindi pa nila prioridad na mabuksan ang embahada mula nang magsara ito noong 2012. Nais lamang nilang makita ngayon kung paano patatakbuhin ng bagong administrasyon ang Syria. Mula kasi nang mapatalsik si Syrian President Bashar al-Assad ay nananatiling nakabantay ang Estados Unidos para sa hakbang na gagawin ng Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Sa kabila ng pag-oobserba nito ay hinahayaan ng US na ang mga bansa sa Middle East ang makipagsapalaran sa isa't isa. Bagkus hinahayaan nila ang Israel na gumalaw base sa kung ano ang nakikita nilang naaayon sa sitwasyon.
I will let Israel speak to its own operations and what it is they are trying to accomplish. I will say that on behalf of the United States, we're going to discuss these matters with them privately before I opine on them publicly. I would say that broadly speaking, we of course don't want to see any action that makes a Syrian-led process more difficult, and we ultimately want to see a peaceful process forward, not an escalation of the conflict.
Sa ngayon ay naging pangunahing prioridad ng Estados Unidos ang pagpapalaya sa journalist na si Austin Tice.
Could you say specifically that that's like a message that you've sent to HTS? Austin Tice is a priority.
It is a message that we have sent to HTS. I'm not going to speak to direct communications, but in all of our communications with parties that we know talk to HTS, we have sent very clearly the message that as they move through Syria, liberating prisons, that our top priority is the return of Austin Tice. And we want anyone who is operating on the ground in Syria to be on the lookout for him.
Nagbabala ang Estados Unidos na sasamantalahin ng Islamic State ang sitwasyon sa Syria upang ibangon muli ang operasyon nito doon. Alamin po natin kung ano nga ba ang balak gawin ng US sakaling tangkain nga ito ng ISIS. Asli Sakmar po para sa detalye ng balita.
Ayon kay U.S. State Secretary Anthony Blinken, sakaling tangkain ng Islamic State na bumangong muli sa Syria, hinding-hindi ito papayagan ng Estados Unidos.
The end of this regime is a defeat for all who enabled its barbarity and its corruption, none more than Iran, Hezbollah, and Russia. So this moment presents a historic opportunity, but it also carries considerable risks. History shows how quickly moments of promise can descend into conflict and violence. ISIS will try to use this period to reestablish its capabilities, to create safe havens. As our precision strikes over the weekend demonstrate, we are determined not to let that happen.
Ani Blinken, kailangan ang Syrians ang pumili ng kanilang kinabukasan. At welcome man ang pahayag ng mga lider ng mga rebelde ukol sa pagtatayo ng inklusibong gobyerno. Ang tunay na sukatan niya ay ang aksyon ng mga ito, hindi ang salita lamang.
It's imperative that all actors involved protect civilians, respect human rights, especially of vulnerable minorities, preserve the state's institutions and services to help meet the needs of the Syrian people, and to build toward inclusive governance. Statements by rebel leaders to these ends are very welcome. But of course, the real measure of their commitment is not just what they say, but what they do.
Madaling nasugpo ng mga rebelde ang kabisera ng Syria noong linggo matapos ang malakidlat na pag-atake. Ito rin ang dahilan ng paglipad ni Pangulong Bashar al-Assad patungong Russia matapos ang 13 taong civil war sa bansa at 5 dekadang pamumuno ng kanyang pamilya. Winasak ng pangyayaring ito ang network ng Iran sa gitnang silangan. Subalit humaharap ngayon ang Israel, Estados Unidos at Arab powers sa banta ng karupukan at ekstremismo mula sa puwersang papalit dito. Noong 2014, sinuyod ng Islamic State ang malalaking lugar sa Syria at Iraq. Nag-establisa ito ng Islamic Caliphate bago tinulak palabas ng koalisyon na pinamunuan ng US noong 2019. Ashley Sackmar para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Noong Martes, nakalulula ang boto ng United Nations General Assembly pabor sa napakailap na tigil putukan sa Gaza. Si Rosel Feria para sa balita.
Nais ng UN General Assembly ang agarang ceasefire sa pagitan ng Israel at Palestinian militants na Hamas sa Gaza Strip. Gayun din ang agarang pagpapakawala sa lahat ng mga bihag. Ang ceasefire demand sa resolusyon ay inadapt ng may 158 na boto sa 193-member na assembly. Ipinahayag ito sa mas apuradong wika kumpara noong October 2023 at December 2023 na ang hinihingi naman ay agarang humanitarian truce sa Gaza. Hindi man nakabigkis ang mga resolusyon ng assembly, may bigat political ito na sumasalamin sa pananaw ng mundo sa giyera. Kumontra sa resolusyon ang Estados Unidos, Israel at 7 bansa pa. 13 naman ang nag-abstain. Samantala, nagpahayag din ng suporta ang samahan para sa UN Palestinian Relief Agency na UNRWA. Nag-adapt ito ng isa pang resolusyon na may 159 votes na pabor. Tinatanggihan nito ang bagong batas ng Israel ukol sa pambaban sa mga operasyon ng UNRWA sa kanilang bansa simula noong Enero. Ipinag-uutos ng resolusyon na respetuhin ng Israel ang mandato ng UNRWA at payagan itong ipagpatuloy ang mga operasyon ng walang hadlang o restriksyon. Hinindihan ito ng US, Israel at 7 bansang muli. 11 naman ang nag-abstain.
The messages we send to the world through these resolutions matter. And both of these resolutions have significant problems. One rewards Hamas and downplays the need to release the hostages, and the other denigrates Israel without providing a path forward to increasing humanitarian assistance to Palestinian civilians.
Inakusahan naman ni Israeli UN Ambassador ang ahensya na anyay may obsesyong sisihin ang Israel.
The UN and its members continue its obsession with Israel. For almost 80 years, you have perfected your obsession with blaming Israel while you blindly fund hatred and violence.
Samantala, ayon naman kay UN Envoy Riyad Mansour, ang Gaza ay isang masakit na sugat sa pamilya ng sangkatauhan.
Gaza today is the bleeding heart of Palestine and open, painful wound for the human family. Stop the bleeding and restore life in Gaza so it can be once again the beating heart of Palestine. Stop the bleeding so we can restore credibility to our international system, so we can ensure it for future generations, so our people can live, so our region can thrive, so that international peace and security can be preserved.
Rosel Feria para sa Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
This is not our fight. Yan ang paalala ni US President-elect Donald Trump sa US military kaugnay ng gulong nangyayari sa Syria. Ayon sa mga geopolitical analysts, kaya dumidistansya si Trump sa issue ng Syria ay dahil mas nais nitong ayusin ang isang diplomatic deal sa pagitan ng Israel at Saudi Arabia. Anila, kung maaayos si Trump ang diplomatikong relasyon ng dalawang bansa, ay lalong hihina at mapapahiya umano ang Iran.
Susunod, Game of the Year, inanunsyo na.
FIFA ay nilabas na ang official venues ng World Cup 2030 at 2024.
At US President-elect Donald Trump kinilala bilang Time Magazine Person of the Year. Yan at iba pang mga balita sa pagbabalik ng Mata ng Agila International.
Simula na ang competition kung sino ang dapat mag-manage ng resort. The winner of this round is Loisa.
Oh, paano ba yan, Mr. CEO? 1-0 ka na ngayon.
At tuloy pa din ang investigasyon sa nawawalang paintings.
Pinuntahan ni Zenny, sinundan niya. Mukhang sinagnakaw ng painting.
Pero mukhang may ibang lihim pang mabubunyag.
Ang taray. Hindi ka naman ganyan nung nagkakilala tayo sa California.
Ikaw, saan mo dadalhin yan, ha?
Bakit, Lloyd? Hindi naman natin itutuloy yung mga plano natin?
Alamin ang mga kapanapanabik na kaganapan sa Goodwill Season 5, alas 5 ng hapon, bago mag-Corina interviews. Dito lang sa NET25.
Sa NET25.
Isinailalim po ang New York sa state of emergency bunsod na pagtama ng malakas na snowstorm sa nasabing estado. Ayon sa lokal na ulat, higit sa 10 pulgada ng niebe ang inaasahang babalot sa ilang lugar sa New York. Sinabi naman ni New York Governor Kathy Hochul na nakaantabay ang lokal na pamahalaan sa mga posibleng trahedya nga dulot ng snowstorm. Nagpatupad na rin ng road closure ang State Department of Transportation sa ilang lugar na lubos na binalot ng snow. Inaasahan pa rin ng State Weather Service na patuloy pa rin ang snowstorm sa New York.
Ayon sa Estados Unidos, walang ebidensya na ang drone sighting sa New Jersey ay hudyat ng panganib sa seguridad ng bansa o ng publiko. Ito ay sa kabila ng pagkabahala ng mga residente na maaaring banta ang mga ito sa kaligtasan ng mga mamamayan. Alamin natin ang balita mula kay NJ De Guzman.
Sinabi ni White House National Security Spokesperson John Kirby na walang bahid ng national security threat o public safety threat ang mga namamataang drones na lumilipad sa estado ng New Jersey.
I just want to add a few comments on the reports of drone activity here on the East Coast, particularly in and around New Jersey. We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat or have a foreign nexus. The Department of Homeland Security and the FBI are investigating these sightings, and they're working closely with state and local law enforcement to provide resources using numerous detection methods to better understand their origin. Using very sophisticated electronic detection technologies provided by federal authorities, we have not been able to, and neither have state or local law enforcement authorities, corroborate any of the reported visual sightings. To the contrary, upon review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully. The United States Coast Guard is providing support to the state of New Jersey and has confirmed that there is no evidence of any foreign-based involvement from coastal vessels.
Sinabi ni Kirby na ang drone sightings ay nagpapakita ng tinatawag na oversight gap o kakulangan sa pagbabantay. Hinikayat niya ang Kongreso na palawakin ang mga otoridad para rito.
While there is no known malicious activity occurring, the reported sightings there do, however, highlight a gap in authorities. And so we urge Congress to pass important legislation that will extend and expand existing counter-drone authorities so that we are better prepared to identify and mitigate any potential threats to airports or other critical infrastructure, and so that state and local authorities are provided all the tools that they need to respond to such threats as well.
Ayon sa report ng local media, maraming drones ang lumilipad sa ilang bahagi ng New Jersey nitong mga nakaraang linggo simula noong Nobyembre. NG De Guzman para sa mata ng Agila International, trusted, connected, on point.
Isang yilong 2H drone ang bumagsak sa labas ng Olympic Sports Center sa China. Sumiklab po ang malaking sunog sa mga punong nasa paligid ng sports center. Batay sa inisyal na investigasyon, pinaniniwala ang technical malfunction ang dahilan kung bakit bumagsak ang drone. Wala namang naitirang nasaktan sa insidente habang inaalam naman ng mga otoridad kung sino nga ba ang may-ari ng drone.
Naibenta ng BuzzFeed ang Hot One Studio sa halagang $82.5 million. Nito lamang December 12 ay nabili ng host nitong si Sean Evans, Soros Fund, Crooked Media, Mythical Media Group at iba pa ang publishing rights at production studio ng nasabing programa. Ang founder at creator ng Hot Ones, si Chris Schonberger, ang magsisilbing CEO, habang si Sean Evans naman ang magiging Chief Creative Officer ng patok na YouTube show. Nagsimula ang Hot Ones sa taong 2015 sa ilalim ng First We Feast channel at ngayon mayroon ng million views. Nakilala ang Hot Ones bilang isang nakakaaliw na talk show na may bigating celebrity guests na sumasalang upang kumain ng spicy chicken wings kasabay ng spicy questions. Kabilang na ang mga sikat na artists gaya ni Billie Eilish, Ariana Grande, Rosé at maging si Sabrina Carpenter ay naintampok na rin sa hit show.
Itinanghal bilang Game of the Year 2024 ang survival platform game na Astrobot ng Team Asobi sa the 2024 Game Awards. Tinalo ng Astrobot ang ibang kilalang mga video game titles katulad ng Elden Ring, Final Fantasy, Metaphor at Balatro. Isang malaking shift ito sa naging appeal ng panels sa Game Awards mula noong 2023 awardings kung saan ang Game of the Year noon ay ang fantasy RPG na Baldur's Gate 3. Higit sa prestigious na parangal na ito ay nakakot din ng Astrobot ang Best Action/Adventure Game, Best Family Game at Best Game Direction. Samantala, kahit hindi nakuha ng Final Fantasy ang GOTY ay nanalo naman ito ng parangal na Best Score and Music habang ang Black Myth Wukong naman ay nakuha ang Best Action Game. At dahil po dito, mensahe naman ng Team Asobi sa game industry na huwag kalimutan sa direksyon ng paggawa ng mga laro ang pagkakaroon ng sense of fun.
Opisyal nang inanunsyo ng FIFA ang magiging mga susunod na hosts ng FIFA World Cup 2030 at 2034.
Dear friends, today is really a historic day, a day of celebration. I have to thank you and congratulate you all because you make football truly global. In a divided world, you have shown unity. You have shown that we are all part of one global community. We are not all equal. We know that. But we are learning to accept each other with our differences as part of this one global community. And we respect each other. There are many things in our imperfect world that could be done better, that should be done better, in every country. And there are many lessons to learn and ways to improve. But we are inclusive and we are non-discriminatory. And we want to obtain positive social impact. We are, of course, aware of critics and fears. And I fully trust our hosts to address all open points from this process and deliver a FIFA World Cup that meets the world's expectations.
Habang ang 2034 edition naman ay sa Saudi Arabia na siyang bukod tanging nagbid para makuha ang hosting. Maraming grupo naman ang hindi sang-ayon sa pag-host ng Saudi Arabia ng nasabing torneo. Noong mga nakaraang taon ay patuloy ang ginagawang investment ng Saudi Arabia kung saan doon na ginanap ang boxing, esports at Formula 1. Sa hosting ng Saudi Arabia World Cup ay magtatayo sila ng 11 stadiums at 185,000 na mga bagong hotel rooms.
Hanap mo ba ay isang coach na tutulong sa iyo para mas mapahusay pa ang technique mo sa isang laro? Aba, isubukan niyo po itong inilunsad na Artificial Intelligence or AI coach ng Sport AI. Ayon sa Norwegian startup, ang Sport AI ay gumagamit ng machine learning and biometric technology para malinang ang coaching ng platform para sa real-time feedback nito sa mga atleta. Sa tulong na rin ng pag-unlad ng computer vision technology, napadali ang pagkuha ng Sport AI ng mga kilos ng isang player na walang tulong na wearable sensors. At sa ngayon, nakatuon pa lamang ang Sport AI sa racket sports katulad ng tennis.
We've started with racket sports because you have to start somewhere, and we have a lot of experience from the racket sports world, but there's no question that this is perfect for a cover drive in cricket, a free throw in basketball, a baseball swing. All of these things are relevant for technique analysis, and Sport AI, we're going to try and bring that out to all sports around the world.
Bilang pinakabatang chess world champion ang 18 taong gulang na si Gukesh Domaraju mula India. Ito ay matapos na talunin nito si Ding Liren 7.5 to 6.5 sa best of 14 final na ginanap sa Singapore. Sa huling laro ay nagtala pa si Gukesh at ang defending champion na si Ding hanggang isinagawa ang rapid chess tiebreaks. Matapos ang panalo ay napaiyak pa ito at naging emosyonal na pinasalamatan ng mga fans. Nagdiwang naman ang mga kababayan nito sa India kung saan siya ang naging pang-18th world-class champion at pangalawang world champion kasunod ni Viswanathan Anand.
At muling tinanghal bilang Person of the Year ng Time Magazine si U.S. President-elect Donald Trump.
Well, thank you very much. This is an honor, a tremendous honor. I brought some of our compatriots along with us. They're going to do a beautiful job for you for the next 4 years. And it's really been something very special. And I have to say, Time Magazine getting this honor for the second time, I think I like it better this time, actually.
Ito na ang pangalawang pagkakataong nakuha ang pwesto na ang una ay noong nagwagi rin siya sa presidential elections noong taong 2016. Sinabi ni Time Editor-in-Chief Sam Jacobs na naging makasaysayan ang muling pagbabalik ni Trump sa pwesto. At kasabay din ito ay siya na rin ang pagpatunog ng bell sa New York Stock Exchange kasama ang ilang miyembro ng kanyang pamilya.
I think we're going to have a tremendous run. We have to straighten out some problems, some big problems in the world. When we left, we didn't have any of these problems. We didn't have Russia with Ukraine. We didn't have Israel October 7th. We didn't have the Afghanistan disaster. We didn't have inflation. We had no inflation. And we had a very strong economy. And we're going to do that again, but I think we're going to even up it because now we have experience that we didn't have. Now I know everybody. You know,
Samantala, Nina, kanina tila bumaha ang luha sa harap ng Korte Suprema matapos nitong i-anunsyo ang listahan ng mga pumasa sa 2024 bar examinations. May mga tumalon sa labi sa kagalakan nang malaman na sa wakas natupad na ang kanilang pangarap na magkaroon ng mga letrang ATTY sa unahan ng kanilang mga pangalan. Kwento ng bar pastor na si Margaret, hindi naging madali ang kanyang law school at bar journey. Samantalang ang bar pastor naman na si Brian ay hindi makapaniwala dahil matapos 3 beses na mabigo sa bar examinations ay sa wakas pumasa na siya ngayon.
Mahirap din pumasok sa Ateneo kasi yung parents ko retired na, so ginapang namin mag-scholarship kung kaya. And ng parents ko kung anong natago nila. And then, nag-pandemic din, nagkasakit po ako ng mental disorder nung pandemic. So, matagal din po yung healing process na yon. Na-extend po ako sa school dahil dun sa sakit. And then, meron din po akong na-feel na class na hindi ko inaasang mangyayari sa akin, pero nangyari. So, and finally, after 6 years, nakaabot na po tayo, dream come true na po.
Alam ko naman. So I need to try. Hindi ko kailangan mawala ng kumpiyansa. Kailangan magpatuloy ako maniwala.
At syempre, Ricky, gaya ng kahit sinong magulang, lalo namang ipinagmalaki ni Elena ang kanyang anak dahil pumasa rin ito sa Philippine Bar Exams na sinasabing marami na sa isang pinakamahirap na eksaminasyon sa Pilipinas.
Nakita po kung gano'ng hirap ng anak ko. So parang ako na rin yung nahihirapan. Sabi ko pa nga noon, anak, baka magkakasakit ka na yan, hindi ka na magiging abogada sa sobrang stress. Sabi ko gano'n, matulog ka naman kasi lagi na pong madaling araw. Opo. So parang ako po yung nahihirapan noon eh. Pero mas sulit naman po, masaya.
Hanggang ngayon po pinaprocess ko pa po kasi matagal po talaga ako mag-process. Pinaprocess ko pa yung nangyayari. Siguro mamaya pa po ako. Ayun nga po, ang plano ko po is mag-apply po sa public attorney's office po para makapag-represent po ng mga litigante. So, parang nagalingan din po ako dun sa abogado po na nag-appear sa korte namin. Kaya ayun, parang rin po. Tsaka nakita ko rin po yung mga condition ng mga akusado po. Kaya ayun po, gusto ko po silang matulungan po.
Ipinagmalaki naman po ng New Era University ang magandang performance ng NEU College of Law sa 2024 bar exams. Nasa 47.05% ang passing rate ng bar examinees ng nasabing universidad. Mas mataas ito ng 10% sa national average. At dahil dito, ibinahagi ng mga newly barred pastors na sina Angel Sosa at magkapatid na Joram Ivan at Jogon Ivan Augustia ang kanilang karanasan bilang mga barista.
The justices would like to have more lawyers. Ayaw nila na 3,000 lang ang magiging new lawyers, but they want more lawyers. And there are several reasons why we need more lawyers. And of course, one of the main reasons perhaps is the scarcity of lawyers in some areas. Not in Metro Manila, because I believe in Metro Manila we have enough, but in the provinces we may not have enough lawyers.
Ayon sa Korte Suprema, 10,502 ang kumuha ng bar exams itong nakaraang September. 3,962 ang pumasa na may passing rate na 37.84%. Nanguna sa 2024 bar examination si Cal Christian Tutor ng University of the Philippines. Nakakuha siya ng markang 85.77%. Sinabi naman ni 2024 Bar Chairperson Supreme Court Justice Mario Lopez, nagkaroon sila ng isang deliberasyon ng mga mahistrado ng Korte Suprema. Dito ay napagkasunduan nilang ibaba ang passing grade sa 74%. Kaya halos 1,000 ang nadagdag sa listahan ng mga nakapasa. Sa kabila nito, binigyan din ni Lopez na hindi naman ito makaaapekto sa kalidad ng mga abogado.
Itong bar exam is not a perfect gauge of knowledgeability and skill of a lawyer to be. For all you know, meron dyan na pasangawa, palakol, sabi sa in vernacular na sinabi, palakol lang ang grade niya. But after the bar, since they have the potential, they were able to overcome this disadvantage that they have a lower grade. And they flourish.
Hindi ito ang unang pagkakataong nagbaba ng passing grade ang Korte Suprema dahil noong taong 2007 ay ibinaba rin ng mga mahistrado ang passing grade sa 74. Anila, kung hindi nila ito gagawin ay 281 out of 5,626 bar examinees lamang pala ang papasa. Noong taong 2008 naman ay ibinaba rin ng Korte Suprema ang passing grade sa 70% dahil kung susundin ang 75% na passing grade noon ay 5% lamang na bar examinees ang papasa.
Ayan, dahil dyan binabati natin, Ricky, ang 3,962 na bar passers ngayong taon.
Congratulations!
Ayan, congratulations!
Ayan. At syempre, Nina, ito may mga aabangan din tayo ngayong weekend. Akalain mo, Nina, Friday na,
diba?
diba?
Just like that,
Just like
it's Friday.
But ito, dahil inaabangan nga, isang malaki itong event sa ating mga estudyante din at sa mga basketball fans at university fans, ang final game ng UP versus De La Salle for the championship for the UAAP. So,
ang kaabang-abang na pagkapanalo.
So, pinilang ko naman yung bar examinees. Nakuha naman ng UP ang top 1 and 4 out of 10.
Congratulations sa'yo, Kyle Christian Tutor.
Yes, and congratulations to UP and of course to all the passers.
At ang new era, ang taas ng kanilang passing rate.
And that's 10%.
Sinabi nga, it's higher, 10% higher than the national passing rate.
Galing, ang galing
Average,
talaga.
yeah.
Mukhang darami na ang ating mga abogado na naman.
Diba, nakakatawa. Congratulations, excited sila for sure.
At tayo naman, Nina, ay excited din. Dahil akalain mo, weekend na naman.
Tama. Yung mga ngiti natin, diba? Para hindi masukat, abot tenga na naman.
Pero mamimiss namin kayo, pero 2 araw lang po. Dahil tandaan nyo ha, mula Lunes hanggang Biyernes. Narito kami ni Nina para maghatid ng balita saan mang dako na mundo. Happy weekend, everybody! Ako po muli si Ricky Matay.
Ako si Nina Richie Alago Flores na bumabati rin ng isang masigabong weekend po sa inyong lahat. Ito ang Mata ng Agila International. Para naman po sa mga balitang nangyari rin sa iba't ibang panig pa ng mundo, punta tayo kay Alma Angeles para sa Mata ng Agila World News. Take it away, Alma.
Thank you, Nina Enrique. Good evening, everyone. I'm Alma Angeles for NET25 World News on tonight's headlines. President Marcos Jr. reassured the public today that the government is ramping up efforts to assist those affected by Mount Canlaon's eruption. A story is emerging from Syria tonight where an American citizen has been found following the dramatic overthrow of dictator Bashar al-Assad. Travis Timmerman, who had been imprisoned for 7 months, is now free. Russia unleashed a major missile assault on Ukraine's energy facilities this morning, with explosions reported in Odessa and western cities. And the news starts now. President Marcos Jr. reassured the public today that the government is ramping up efforts to assist those affected by Mount Canlaon's eruption on Negros Island. He also emphasized that the safety of the people remains the government's top priority. Take a look.
Sa mga kababayan natin na apektado ng pagputok ng Canlaon, nandito po ang inyong pamahalaan na handang tumulong sa inyo. Kung gaano man katindi ang bangis ng bulkang ito, ganon din ang kalinga na aming ipapaabot. Nakatutok ang pamahalaan sa pag-agapay sa epekto ng pagsabog ng bulkang Canlaon. Mahigit 45,000 residente ang linikas na mula sa 6-kilometer radius danger zone, habang target naman na ilikas ang kabuuang 84,000 na katao. Inatasan ko na ang Department of... Nakahanda rin po ang DOH na magbigay ng serbisyo. Mula Maynila, kasado na ang pag-airlift ng dagdag na gamot kung kinakailangan. Bago pa man sumabog ang bulkan, ay pinaghandaan na ng ating NDRMC at Office of Civil Defense ang pagtugon sa maaring worst-case scenario. Dahil dito, nakatanod ang Task Force Canlaon na magkokoordina ng tamang responde batay sa lakas ng pagsabog ng bulkan at pinsalang hatid nito. We will step up. We will level up. Any escalation in damages and destruction will be met with a stronger government response. Malaki ang papel ng komunikasyon sa mga araw na ito. Truth will save lives. Fake news will kill. Effective disaster response is anchored on reliable information. That's why PhilVox will continue to issue around-the-clock advisories in language that is clearly understood to all our kababayans. Nakikiusap ako sa lahat, lalo na sa ayaw lumikas na sumunod sa babala ng ating mga otoridad. Mas mahalaga po ang buhay kaysa ari-arian.
South Korea's opposition leader Lee Jae-myung has called for the impeachment of President Yoon Suk-yeol, saying it's the only way to restore order in the country. Now, this comes ahead of a crucial parliamentary vote following the president's brief imposition of martial law earlier this month. President Yoon's decision to impose military rule on December 3, which he revoked just 6 hours later, sparked a constitutional crisis and intensified calls for his resignation. Now, the controversy deepened after an initial impeachment attempt failed when Yoon's People Power Party boycotted the vote. And since then, at least 7 PPP members have signaled their support for impeachment, bringing now the opposition close to the 200 votes needed to pass the motion, alongside their 192 lawmakers. Yoon, however, remains defiant, accusing the opposition of stalling the government and citing a North Korean hack into the Election Commission as a reason to question his party's defeat in the April's parliamentary elections. Meanwhile, protesters demanding Yoon's impeachment have found a unique source of support: free food and coffee. And that's across the country. People using delivery apps to send hot drinks and snacks to those braving the cold outside Seoul's National Assembly. Kang Ye-hoon, who owns the Royal Host Cafe near Parliament, says prepaid orders have skyrocketed.
처음에는 뭐 따뜻한 아메리카노 20잔, 라떼 20잔, 타르트 뭐 10개인 분도 있었는데요. 지금은 기본이 100잔. 그리고 이번 주 토요일 집회는 지금 아메리카노 1000잔이 예약되어 있습니다. 네, 맛있게 드세요. 네, 안녕히 가세요.
Tensions continue to escalate in the Middle East as efforts to secure a hostage deal remain uncertain. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan expressed a cautious optimism during a briefing, but the stakes are high.
We can't rest until it actually happens. It might not happen, but I believe it can happen with political will on both sides. The Israeli government has indicated, including the Prime Minister, they would like to see this done. We see movement from Hamas. We see commitment from the mediators. And I will go to Doha and Cairo to try to ensure the final impetus is there to bring this all together.
Sullivan also addressed the plight of American hostages believed to be held in Gaza, revealing grim details but maintaining hope for their recovery.
We believe the other 3 Americans are alive. We don't have a proof of life from such a short time ago that I can tell you that for certain, but we believe that they are. And of course, we saw the video of Idan Alexander. So we are operating on the proposition that there are 7 Americans being held in Gaza currently, 3 of them alive, 4 of them deceased, and we want to bring all 7 of them home.
Meanwhile, protests erupted near the U.S. consulate in Tel Aviv as demonstrators urged American officials to push harder for the return of hostages. Among the protesters was Shai Moses, who shared his plea for action.
We came to urge Mr. Sullivan and all the American administration to help us. Our government has abandoned us. Our government has abandoned the hostages, and we want them to pull any leverage possible to bring the hostages back.
It's been 433 days. On one hand, they're not going to make it. They're dying. The winter is starting. The winter in Gaza is no fun experience. The floods, the cold. I can't imagine what they're going through in the tunnel. And on the other hand, there's a real opportunity to bring them home now. Jake Sullivan is here. Qatar is back in business. The Egyptians are talking. Hamas is willing to negotiate, to be flexible, and we really need our government. We really need our Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, to be flexible.
Amid these developments, the conflict in Gaza continues to claim lives. At least 20 Palestinians, including children, were killed in an Israeli airstrike on houses in the Nusrat camp. Medics describe the scene as devastating, with displaced families caught in the destruction. The strike targeted a postal facility where families had sought refuge, also damaging nearby homes. Nusrat camp, once a historic refuge for Palestinians displaced in 1948, is now an overcrowded urban area housing thousands of displaced people. The Israeli military has not commented on the attack, and with the 14-month-long conflict showing no signs of abating, the human toll continues to rise. A story is emerging from Syria tonight where an American citizen has been found following the dramatic overthrow of dictator Bashar al-Assad. Travis Timmerman, who had been imprisoned for 7 months, is now free. And his release sheds light on the chaotic aftermath of Assad's regime collapse and the challenges facing Syria's future. Travis Timmerman, a 29-year-old from Missouri, crossed into Syria in May during a pilgrimage and was detained by Assad's forces. His ordeal ended this week as chaos spread across Syria following the dictator's ousting. In an interview, Timmerman shared his harrowing experience.
ترافيس إذا وصلنا إلى شخص يدعى ترافيس تيمرمان.
That's right.
That's right.
But just Travis. Just call me Travis.
Call you Travis. Okay.
Travis.
And where were you all this time?
I was imprisoned in Damascus for the last 7 months.
Timmerman recounted the dramatic moment of his release.
I was imprisoned in a cell by myself, and in the early morning of this Monday, or the Monday of this week, they took a hammer and they broke my door down.
He described how armed men led him to safety alongside fellow prisoners.
Well, the armed men just wanted to get me out of my cell. And then really the man who I stuck with was a Syrian man named Agila, who was also a prisoner that was just free. And he took me by the side, by the arm really, and he and a young woman that lives in Damascus. And us 3 exited the prison together.
Timmerman's release comes amid seismic changes in Syria, where rebel group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham now controls Damascus. The group led the overthrow of Assad, ending more than 5 decades of family rule. Meanwhile, his release had brought joy to his parents.
Thank God he's alive.
Yeah.
Thank God. I think God was with him.
I was looking at the videos. I'm like, yes, it's him. So excited.
Yes.
I just started bawling.
I was hurt, and I thought he was dead. I really, truly did. But I didn't want to give up on him. I didn't want to give up on my son.
You started to think the worst after 7 months.
Yeah, especially when talked to State Patrol and said he went over there.
I mean, he's down in the Middle East.
And Rick said it wasn't good, so I had a meltdown. I'm very proud of him. And he's a smart kid. He had his finance degree and he went to law school and
Passed the bar.
but I just don't understand why he went over there, but I guess I will never find out. I mean, I'll probably find out, but when he gets home.
You're wringing his neck. What were you thinking?
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken highlighted the urgency of supporting those impacted by the Assad regime's atrocities, including the search for missing Americans.
In terms of an American citizen who was found just today, I can't give you any details on exactly what's going to happen, except to say that we're working to bring him home, to bring him out of Syria and to bring him home. But for privacy reasons, I can't share any more details. We also want to make sure that we're doing everything possible to support those people, those organizations that are working to find the thousands of disappeared people, children, women and men, during the Assad regime. That includes, of course, the American journalist Austin Tice. We're determined to find him and bring him home to his family and loved ones. Also critical to unlocking international recognition, international support that Syria very much needs after decades of dictatorship, conflict, corruption, isolation. I've had many calls over the last days with partners in the region, and everyone's agreed on the need to have a unified approach to advance many of our shared interests. And so here on the ground in the region, we're working to build up and build out that unified approach.
With just over a month until his inauguration, Donald Trump returned to New York City to ring the opening bell at New York Stock Exchange. The president-elect was also honored as the magazine's Person of the Year for the second time. Take a look.
Well, thank you very much. This is an honor, a tremendous honor. I brought some of our compatriots along with us. They're going to do a beautiful job for you for the next 4 years. And it's really been something very special. And I have to say, Time Magazine getting this honor for the second time. I think I like it better this time, actually. But it is an honor. And this is a double, because usually they don't coordinate the Man of the Year or the Person of the Year with the ringing of the bell. And brilliantly, you picked them both at the same time, and you were all friends, and you said, let's do it. And it takes one trip. It doesn't take two trips. That's okay.
In an interview with Time, Trump reaffirmed his campaign pledge to deport over 11 million undocumented immigrants. He suggested leveraging law enforcement and even the military, saying, "I will go up to the maximum level of what the law allows." While ruling out a return to family separations, Trump left the door open, noting, "I would much rather deport them together." He also hinted at the possibility of building deportation camps, bluntly stating, "Whatever it takes to get them out."
I think we're going to have a tremendous run. We have to straighten out some problems, some big problems in the world. When we left, we didn't have any of these problems. We didn't have Russia with Ukraine. We didn't have Israel October 7th. We didn't have the Afghanistan disaster. We didn't have inflation. We had no inflation. And we had a very strong economy. And we're going to do that again, but I think we're going to even up it, because now we have experience that we didn't have. Now I know everybody.
Trump also highlighted what he views as the greatest global threat, the advancement of weaponry.
The power of weaponry today is the biggest threat we have, in my opinion. It's not some of the other things that you read about. It's the power of weaponry. The weapons are so powerful, so devastating.
On the economy, Trump, who prioritized inflation during his campaign, acknowledged the difficulty of reducing grocery prices, but remained optimistic.
So, ladies and gentlemen, go on. We're going to put it straight. We're going to give tremendous incentive like no other country has. We're cutting your taxes. We're going to cut them very substantially. We got them down to 21% from probably 42 or 44%, depending on where you are. And we got them down to 21. Everyone said that was a miracle. Now we're getting them down to 15, but only if you make your product here. Otherwise, you pay 21, which is not bad. It's in the in the middle of the pack, but 15 brings you down to among the lower. And for those that are running the big companies, those great, big, beautiful companies, nobody's going to be leaving us. You're going to be coming back. You're going to be bringing it back to the United States. We are incentivizing everybody to come back to the United States. We want you back here. Car manufacturers, everybody. And we have one product that nobody has really to the extent that we do. It's called oil and gas. There is no country in the world that has more. We're number one. I brought it to number one during my first term in terms of production. We're going to be number one plus. We'll do numbers that nobody will really see before. And when that happens, prices are going to start coming down because people can't afford their groceries, and they're going to be affording their groceries.
Trump also announced that one of his first official actions as president will be to pardon many January 6 rioters, signaling a significant early move for his administration. Meanwhile, a newly released Justice Department Inspector General report criticized the FBI leadership for failing to take basic steps to prepare for the January 6 Capitol attack. The report also refuted claims that undercover FBI agents were involved in the riot. Still in the U.S., a string of unexplained drone sightings is raising questions. The Pentagon said there's no evidence linking the drones to foreign or enemy activity, and none have been shot down. Still, the FBI is investigating as dozens of drones larger than hobbyist models have been reported across New Jersey in recent weeks, flying near sensitive locations, including a military research facility. Since the FBI asked for the public's help, sightings have been reported in other areas, but authorities emphasize there's no known threat to public safety. However, the issue sparked heated exchanges during a congressional hearing.
Thank you, Chairman. And, sometimes I feel like I'm in the twilight zone up here. Like month after month, people come before us, they testify, and you don't get a lot of answers. And it's concerning, it's frustrating. You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey are? Is that correct?
That's right.
It's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. That's madness that we don't know what these drones are.
FBI Assistant Director Robert Wheeler admitted investigators have yet to determine who is responsible for the drone flights, but said they are actively investigating. White House National Security spokesperson John Kirby also addressed the mystery, providing a clearer picture of what officials know so far.
I just want to add a few comments on the reports of drone activity here on the East Coast, particularly in and around New Jersey. We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat, or have a foreign nexus. The Department of Homeland Security and the FBI are investigating these sightings, and they're working closely with state and local law enforcement to provide resources using numerous detection methods to better understand their origin. Using very sophisticated electronic detection technologies provided by federal authorities, we have not been able to, and neither have state or local law enforcement authorities, corroborate any of the reported visual sightings. To the contrary, upon review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully. The United States Coast Guard is providing support to the state of New Jersey and has confirmed that there is no evidence of any foreign-based involvement from coastal vessels. And importantly, there are no reported or confirmed drone sightings in any restricted airspace. Now, that said, we certainly take seriously the threat that can be posed by unmanned aircraft systems, which is why law enforcement and other agencies continue to support New Jersey and investigate the reports, even though they have uncovered no malicious activity or intent at this particular stage. While there is no known malicious activity occurring, the reported sightings there do, however, highlight a gap in authorities. And so we urge Congress to pass important legislation that will extend and expand existing counter-drone authorities so that we are better prepared to identify and mitigate any potential threats to airports or other critical infrastructure, and so that state and local authorities are provided all the tools that they need to respond to such threats as well.
New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy described the drones as very sophisticated and said the state is treating the situation seriously. One state senator is also calling for a limited state of emergency over the sightings. For now, the investigation continues with no evidence of malicious intent or foreign involvement.
So, aware of those drone sightings that have been reported, at this time we have no evidence that these activities are coming from a foreign entity or the work of an adversary. We're going to continue to monitor what is happening.
Russia unleashed a major missile assault on Ukraine's energy facilities this morning, with explosions reported in Odessa and western cities. Now, the strikes caused emergency power outages affecting millions. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry claimed its forces have seized 300 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory and captured 7 settlements in the past month. Defense Minister Andrei Belousov inspected troops on the front lines. In Washington, the Biden administration announced $500 million in new weapons aid, including HIMARS ammunition and anti-radiation missiles, adding to the $725 million pledge just days ago.
Also today, the president approved a new security assistance package for Ukraine that will provide them with additional air defense, artillery, drones, and armored vehicles. It's the 72nd such drawdown package announced by the United States, and as the president made clear, we're going to continue to provide additional packages right up to the end of this administration.
Even NATO weighed in.
I'll be honest, the security situation does not look good. It's undoubtedly the worst in my lifetime, and I suspect in yours too. We are not ready for what is coming our way in 4 to 5 years. Danger is moving towards us at full speed. We must not look the other way. We must face it. What is happening in Ukraine could happen here too. And regardless of the outcome of this war, we will not be safe in the future unless we are prepared to deal with danger. We can do that. We can prevent the next big war on NATO territory and preserve our way of life. This requires us all to be faster and fiercer. It is time to shift to a wartime mindset and turbocharge our defense production and defense spending.
Speaking at a CSIS event, Max Bergman from Europe, Russia and Eurasia program dismissed the likelihood of significant developments in the Russia-Ukraine conflict around January 20th, aligning with the U.S. presidential transition. When asked if Russia might escalate tensions or negotiate ahead of the new U.S. administration, Bergman said this.
No, I don't know what people imagine is going to happen on January 20th, but my first guess is absolutely nothing. Because, to be perfectly honest, there's not a significant change in Russian pace of operations. There's no obvious reasons why Russians would or should negotiate on January 20th, despite I think many of the statements by folks from the incoming administration. I think they're going to have, to some extent, a bit of a discovery period when they see, one, what the current situation is, second, what the state of funding is, because the Biden administration intends to expend pretty much all of the funding available by January 20th. The second is they may realize that actually the last thing they want to do right now is to start negotiations, because their hand, to be frank, just going off of what some people have said, is certainly not a position of strength at this current point in the conflict, and they will have to rectify that.
He also explored Russia's broader objectives, questioning whether President Putin's ambitions are limited to securing control over Donbass or if they extend to bringing Ukraine fully under Russian influence. He highlighted another critical negotiation already underway, one between Ukraine and its allies. Bergman noted that Ukraine seeks firm security guarantees from its partners, emphasizing that any agreement with Russia must be backed by solid assurances to prevent future conflict.
And so the big question right now is, and I think that's why Trump went to France, what can we agree on with Europeans? What sort of security guarantees can we put on the table? What sort of force, European force, might be cobbled together? What support they will need down the line? This is the first order negotiation that needs to happen in order to then to be able to come to any negotiation with Russia.
And the news continues here on NET25. We'll be right back.
The evolving business communication landscape brought us a better way to target customers thanks to data Businesses can now efficiently reach their key stakeholders, create awareness of their brands, and grow loyalty. Speaking to us about the exciting world of ad tech and its whole ecosystem, Mr. Nico Acosta, President and Group CEO of Brave Connective Holdings.
A family can now do everything at home, and now they can grow both personal and professional, plus earn more because of the digital economy.
Open for Business with Cesar Vallejos, Sunday, 9 p.m.
Sa NET25.
A U.S. startup is pioneering an AI-driven solution to combat the growing problem of space junk by accurately predicting and warning satellite operators about potential collisions, and they aim to prevent the creation of more debris.
Space junk is becoming a growing issue as more satellites are put into orbit. But US startup Privateer Space is hoping to help solve the problem with an AI-driven system that tracks, records, and monitors the enormous volume of space junk. The startup says it can warn satellite operators before a collision, which could create even more debris.
I think this becomes critical and increasingly more critical as we put more and more assets into space.
Privateer's platform, called Wayfinder, uses data from various sources and satellite operators, including the US Space Command. It is already tracking more than 35,000 objects in orbit. Declan Lynch is Chief Revenue Officer at Privateer.
To be able to track that many objects and be able to plan and predict where their orbits will be over the next 24, 48, and 72 hours requires a lot of data and a lot of computational power, and we're able to leverage the power of AI to do that in a fraction of the time that it previously took humans to do.
This count only includes objects larger than a few inches, or 10 centimeters to be exact. Privateer estimates space debris bigger than a millimeter to be closer to 100 million. Space junk is mainly composed of defunct satellites, spent rocket stages, and fragments from disintegration and collision events. The debris can orbit Earth at speeds of 17,000 miles per hour, and this can pose a significant threat to the International Space Station and operational satellites, many of which are crucial to modern systems on Earth, like communications.
As we put more objects into space, we're going to be crowding our orbital highways. And we very much believe that our stewardship of space, or of Earth, doesn't just end in our atmosphere, right? It extends into all the stuff that we're putting into space ourselves.
Privateer aims to make its artificial intelligence tracking data available to satellite operators, international space agencies, and scientific communities around the world.
Space domain awareness is still, something that many governments are trying to understand, and operators that are putting satellites into orbit at various scales definitely need this capability themselves. This is our ability to visualize that so that satellite operators, have the ability to make a decision, either to avoid the collision if they can, but this is our ability to do this and using AI to plan and predict that at scale.
And with that, we end tonight's broadcast. For everyone here on NET25, I'm Alma Angeles. Thank you all for joining us. Have a great weekend. Good night.